Okay, I'm here, and as I mentioned, hi, glad to see John. Glad to have you here. We're not having class, as I has mentioned, yet here in Canvas, as I mentioned yesterday in the little short screencast. Basically, I'm asking everybody this week to really do two things. One, these are your midterms; they're all due, and so that's a big piece. There are 4 exams there. And then as you scroll down to Module 15, you'll see pop down here. You'll see some projects, 2 projects that I want you to do. Really, there are 3. SAP Business 1, Part A, and I have instructions for it. And then SAP Business 1, Part B, and I have a place for you to upload it as well. And then the Anderson text, I have a self-developed quiz over some chapters, and I've got instructions for that. And all of those are due on the 7th of December at 5 p.m., which is the last day of class. So I'm giving everybody some flex time this week to get the exams done, those four exams, and then at the very least, to start working on the projects that are here. And, and basically that pretty much is. I'm going to do a little experiment here with the annotation tool in this. And I'm just going to see if it's going to let me do the mouse thing and see what it does with that. And see if it'll let me do anything. And no, it's not going to let me do anything with the mouse. Let me try something here with the spotlight. I think I'll try that. Yeah, there we go. There you see. Okay, good. Now, again, the 2 things that everybody should be doing back up here this week is working on those 4 exams. That basically, these are basically your midterm. Okay, and then I'll also give you some time because we're not having class. You do have, I'm expecting you, or hoping that you will use that slack time to come down and take a look at these assignments that are going to be due in Module 15. Now, the SAP Business 1, this is a way to get you guys some exposure to that application, SAP Business 1. And along with SAS, Visual Analytics, Oracle, it's probably they're probably the market leaders in terms of dashboard tools or analytic tools, primarily dashboard tools now that you have to work with. So I have tried to make arrangements with SAP before to let you guys go in and look at a baby version of it. They aren't very cooperative, but they did direct me to some YouTube videos that tell about the product. So I want you to see it, and I have some very simple assignments that I want you to do regarding what you see on the video. No big deal at all, but I at least want you to be able to have seen the video, learned about the product, and at least be somewhat conversant with it so that when you go out to work, okay, you can honestly tell someone you know a little bit about SAP, you've seen how it works. And again, some of the folks at Teradata University, TUN, you've had a class with me before, you've probably heard about it, have tried to work with them to get a version over there for students. And SAP they have a trial version, but they just did not want to deal with as many people as I was running through with the course. So they directed me to these YouTube videos and said, here's some stuff your students can look at. So I said, okay, I'll make an assignment of it. And that's what I did. And of course, that last week, then he had the finals, but that's primarily it. And I've come on here, and if you look at the recording from Monday, you're going to see I spent not too long in terms of in terms of how how I just didn't spend much time because I was just basically there to see if people had some questions, those who showed up, and also to try to kind of get everybody to understand what we're doing this week. Now, next week things will be a little bit sketchy because we have the fall free days on Thursday and Friday. So what that means is that anything that is due, okay, is due on the 17th. Now, the cluster analysis, that case is out of the Data Smart book, and I want to go over here for a moment to the library, okay, and vital source. I'll show you that. All right, and we'll move it up here, and here's the Data Smart book. Now the files are also over there in Canvas. And now the book has a website it refers you to where you can download the data resources. I have them over here for you, and you'll find them in the files. And I think I've got it under the Foreman. Here you go, the Foreman files. And so you'll find each of those cases, and that's what we'll be working with. And just as a kind of an overview, we're going to be working with a case there. This is a cluster analysis case, and now there's a textbook. The textbook walks you through that cluster analysis, that case. He shows you all the steps to do to do the computing. I have that there for you, and he uses some fairly sophisticated combinations of functions out of Excel to do a cluster analysis, and that is to identify sets or groups of customers. Now I have some background there that we'll talk about that you'll be able to look at, and then you're going to see some of these. For example, you'll see the cluster analysis tool that's with SAS and JMP, their software. It's another one of these vendors out there. And then the offset function, how that works, distances, silhouette, and then selecting the number of customers. You're going to have to read that about that case, okay, in the cluster analysis to get what I'm saying. Now, also, we're going to put our toe in the water next week with a very simple issue of dealing with a nonlinear situation. So there's par nonlinear, and you're going to find that over there in the Anderson files. And I have a key, okay, and an explanation of that case. Now, the cluster analysis, I'm not going to ask you to input any data or anything like that. I'm going to ask you just simply, for the credit, you upload the file by the 17th, okay, which is Wednesday. And on Monday and on Wednesday, I'll cover it as I will par nonlinear. I think you'll find that when you go back and you take a look at his book, in the book, you're going to find a very useful textbook. I'm going to open that for just a second. And he's got, and I'm just going to do a search here. The first couple of chapters, the first chapter here is well worth your while to take a look at. He kind of will refresh your memory in terms of Excel if we don't use it enough. He's got some narrative in there where he shows you how to create a function in Excel if you care to do that. Then here, chapter 2, that's the cluster analysis, and we're going to be using the k-means to accomplish that. Okay, and so I have some materials over there where I literally just went through the case and show you. But we'll just go there and now I'd also say this. He does some funny things. He tries to be humorous. One of the things with the clustering is he tries to walk everybody through, like a middle school dance or something where people won't talk to each other and they're awkward and all that business. Okay, so some of that stuff. He's a young guy, and tried to throw some humor in there, which is cool. But he knows his stuff. And as we go through the text, you're going to see, okay, that there is a theoretical underpinning to this. Just like with all management science, there's some kind of basis for what we use. And we use and he uses the model here, Euclidean model. I know some people go, oh, no, it sounds like geometry. Well, it won't be that bad. Now, let me go back over here and turn off. I'll leave this. I like that spotlight thing. I don't know about you. I kind of like it. Now, the par nonlinear, that chapter, I'm trying to remember what chapter it's in, but the files, I've got the solution for you and the key. Let me go back into over here to the library, and we'll take a quick look. And I'll just do a quick search for that case. And it's going to be par non-linear. Now, I may just not, okay, this is just searching the table of contents. I want to search through the book. And we'll get par nonlinear. Now, as I've said over and over and over, that should populate for us there. Resolve itself, I hope. As I've said over and over, when we use solver, we come down and we have three choices. We can use a simplex LP. We can use what's called a GRG nonlinear, and then there's an evolutionary mode. And we're going to work with the nonlinear because we're going to work from an assumption that in this particular situation, the case that we're using, okay, we're going to be working with some situations where the data are not linear, okay? And they give us an introduction to that, all right? And here in Chapter 8, Chapter 8 talks about nonlinear optimization. So we'll be using that nonlinear function, and we'll talk about what that means. Now, let me say this in the simplest of terms. Nonlinear in terms of optimization means that we cannot count on a linear relationship. In other words, a y versus x kind of relationship. And because we can't, it changes some of how we analyze the data from a summary perspective as well as from a probabilistic perspective. I won't go too any farther because we'll hear enough about that. But this is pretty much the spiel I did Monday. And just to let everybody know where they are in terms of where we're at in terms of what we're doing in the course. But the obvious is you have the time to get those exams done, get them out of the way. They are all due on Friday, and then the work that's due on Wednesday the 17th will be those two cases. And like I said, I've got them there for us to take a look at it, and it will be more of I'll show you and we'll deconstruct it. Especially these cases with the data smart, it's going to be some good stuff. We're going to do a cluster analysis is one of the tests, one of the things that we're going to do. The others, we're going to detect what we would call authentic outliers, anomalies in the data that sometimes can give us an insight, okay? That's in those two, kind of looking at how much things tend to be alike, how much things tend to vary, and those are a couple of really good cases. One of them involves a company that sells wine. That's the one where we use the k-means to identify customer clusters. All right, and the second one where we look at those outliers, we're going to use the same technique, but just stand it on its head. and see what it looks like from there. And then there's a third case that we'll be working on, and we'll find it very, very beneficial, because what we're going to do is we're going to take a set of tweets and we're going to build a predictive model, what we call an ex post facto model, and we're going to use Excel, and we're going to identify tweets that are about a particular product and tweets that are not. And you'll see we're going to be using naive Bayesian probability analysis, and we'll talk about what that means, how it differs from traditional probability analysis, and how it's been very successful. And I have a whole bunch of links here for you. Now I'm here, and if anybody has any questions, I'm happy to try to answer them. So let me stop talking. I've got 12 of us here. Let me first of all, let me say hi to everybody. Glad to see Arson, Brian, Isaiah, John Kent, Logan, Michael. I see Sarah. I see Shane. Glad to have you here. Does anybody have a question I could try to answer for you? Well, first of all, you guys like the what do you think about this? It's pretty cool, huh? The spotlight. Anybody? Okay, I guess you like the spotlight, or maybe you don't. I don't know. Any questions about what you're to be doing this week? Anything about next week in terms of why stuff is due on Wednesday rather than Friday? Okay, I see one question here. Let me pop this up. It's in a chat. All right. Oh, thank you. Someone said that the spotlight is awesome. That's cool. I'm learning this software as I go, and Zoom, is an interesting little platform. So I'm trying to start to use the bells and whistles. So well, thank you very much. The spotlight's awesome, and I appreciate that. It's got all kinds of stuff I can do, whiteboards and all that type of thing. But who knows? But thank you. Nice. Anybody else have a question? Okay. Well, I'd say this: you're free to stay or go. I'm going to be here in case someone has a question. But I think I pretty much explained what's going on in terms of this week and what we're doing, and then of course next week. And I kind of gave you a preview of next week as well. So you're welcome to stay if you're wanting to hear. If not, you can leave the Zoom and still go ahead and work over there over in Canvas. So I'll be here if you have any questions, and if not, I will see all of you on Monday. Let me wait for just a minute here. Monday we have one of these guest speaker things from 10 to 10:50, I think. It's a forum. And to get that done, go upstairs, get set up, and all that stuff becomes kind of problematic. And then I have at noon, I have a colleague I'm observing. This is my second visit to her classroom, and she's going through what we call the 5-year review. And so I probably, is a high likelihood that this class I'll do a pre-recorded screen. So don't be surprised if I send you an email, you come over and there's a pre-recorded screencast. And it's not that I don't want to be with you. It's just simply an issue of getting out of that meeting, going up, setting up. And after those meetings, I know people filter in and filter out. And so it's just kind of an unwieldy situation. And then having to bug out and get over to down to do that classroom observation and get my observation tools put together and all that is a bit much. So it's highly likely that I'll do a pre-recorded screencast for Monday. I'm still thinking my way through it but it's highly likely that I'll do that. So don't be surprised if I do. Now, Wednesday should be the usual type of situation. I'm not sure. I'm toyed with, here's what I'm toying with: coming over and making a virtual screencast like I did, where I just do the broadcast from my office, and then I'm there and I have office hours until the 2 o'clock class I have, and then after that I've got a I think we have a meeting, a faculty meeting, so I'm going to need to be over there. So on those days when I do that type of thing on what would normally be a ground-based day, I'm going to be in my office, right, doing the screencast, and then I'm there for questions and all. So you probably, when you see my schedule, don't be surprised if you see that I'm going to be, I'm going to do a screencast, a pre-recorded screencast, and then be over there in my office. It just saves you and me a lot of time and a lot of hassle, especially when I've got, you know, a meeting, this forum thing, then a class, and then a classroom observation. And I really, when I go in and do that classroom observation, this will help you. This will help you kind of understand what we as employees of this institution do, and what faculty typically do. When someone goes through their 5-year review, it's a very serious situation, meaning we're making a decision whether or not to give them what we call senior status. Now, most places you've heard they use the word tenure. I've been through tenure, I guess, 3 times successfully. The first time was down at Southeast Missouri State University, which is a state institution. It's a little different experience. Then at Nationalist University, which is a university there up in Chicago. And then the third time was here. And each time, it's pretty much a thing where they take a look at what you've done. They look at teaching evaluations, peer reviews, all that stuff. So if a person comes up like this individual is on their first 5-year review and they don't make it, it is a humongous problem for them, because if they decide to leave, okay, then when they're out interviewing, people ask questions. So I take that very seriously, because I've got somebody's life and career in my hands, and so I want to have a really clear head and really be prepared to do that person justice as I evaluate their instruction. And if you say, well, looking at you, Dr. Harmon, this proves to me OU has pretty low standards, what can I say? You know, that's life. Anyway, I'll be around here, and if someone has a question, I'll be happy to try to help out. Oh. I'm back to your regular cursor. Okay. Okay, it's 11:53, and I'm gonna shut down my recording. Those of you who are here, you can still stay, but I'll just simply end the meeting and uh, know that many of you are working. So I will see everybody one way or the other next week.